Okay, so we're starting today. I'll take it. We're starting on page 123, Act 4.
Who's in
Eric. Will one of you read at the top of the page what it says in italic?
A cell in Salem jail that fall. At the back is a high barred window. Near it, a great heavy door. Along the walls are two benches. The place is in darkness, but for the moonlight seeping through the bars. It appears empty. Presently, footsteps are heard coming down the corridor beyond the wall. Keys rattle, and the door swings open. Marshal Herrick enters with a little. He is nearly drunk and heavy-footed. He goes to a bench and nudges a bundle of rags lying on it.
Okay, so it says Salem jail that fall. How much time has passed?
A while.
What season was it when this play began?
Spring.
Spring. We have an indication of that because John Proctor tells his wife,
About the flowers.
bring some flowers in. It feels like winter, meaning that it's just like the beginning of spring, and now it's fall. So if we say April to September-ish, so about 4 or 5 months have passed. Okay? The jail is filled with people. And
It says that it looks empty.
Herrick,
Because they're all about to hang.
Oh.
okay, so he's in like one hallway, right? And it says it appears empty, but he nudges a bundle of rags because
That's similar.
someone is lying on the bench. You just cannot hardly see who it is. Okay, so Herrick is the sheriff type guy. And what could we infer about the fact that he is drunk at daybreak?
He's an alcoholic.
Okay, he's been working all night, he's an alcoholic. Perhaps he's feeling guilty, down, like he doesn't like his job. And the only way he can cope with his life is to be drunk.
I feel
Okay. Who is the person who's Tituba here?
You're
Tituba.
I was Tituba.
No.
I would love to be Tituba, but you
Reese
won't
is
let me.
Tituba.
You can be Sarah Good.
Harry,
Or
please
not.
be Tituba.
Was anybody Herrick?
I was heard.
Okay.
I'll be Sarah.
I don't want to be anything.
Will you read Hopkins' lines on 124? Make sure, I'll let you all sit today, but we need to make sure we speak loudly enough that the people on the recording can hear, since your voices are coming this way, not towards the camera. Okay? No, you can stay in your seat. If you sit there,
I'll wait.
Alright, so Herrick nudges Sarah Good.
That's me.
Sarah, wake up. Sarah, good.
He crosses to the other bench.
Oh, Majesty, come in, Tituba. He's here. His Majesty's come.
Go to the north cell. This place is wanted now.
Oh, back over here.
Okay. He hangs his lantern on the wall. Tituba sits up.
That don't look to me like His Majesty. Look to me like the Marshal.
Taking out a flask.
Get along with you now, clear this place.
He drinks, and Sarah then comes and peers up into his face.
Oh, it is you, Marshal. I thought sure you'd be the devil coming for us. Could I have a sip of cider for me going away?
Handing her the flask.
And where are you off to, Sarah?
As Sarah drinks.
We go into Barbados soon. The devil gets here with the feathers and the wings.
Oh, happy voyage to you.
A pair of bluebirds winging suddenly, the two of us. Oh, it'll be a grand transformation, Marshal.
She raises the flask to drink again.
You'd best give me that or you'll never raise off the ground. Come along now.
I'll speak to him for you if you desires to come along, Marshal.
I'd not refuse to hit you, but it's proper morning to fly to hell, into hell.
Oh, it be no hell in Barbados. Devil him be pleasure man in Barbados. Him be singing and dancing in Barbados. It's you folks. You riles him up round here. It be too cold round here for that old boy. He freezes his soul in Massachusetts, but in Barbados he just as sweet and...
A bellowing cow is heard, and Tituba leaps up and calls to the window.
Hey, sir, that's him, Sarah.
I'm here, Majesty.
They hurry, pick up their rags as Hopkins' guard enters. Grabbing Tituba.
Come along.
Resisting him.
No, he coming for me. I going home.
Pulling her to the door.
That's not Satan. Just a poor old cow with a hat full of milk. Come along now, out with you.
Calling to the window.
Take me home, devil. Take me home.
Following the shouting, Tituba out.
Tell him I'm going, Tituba. Now you tell him Sarah's going to.
Okay, they say it's a good morning to fly to hell. What does that mean?
Good morning,
Good
God.
eye.
Today is a
Good day.
Hanging day.
hanging day. Okay, so Herrick has come to move people around, get people ready for the executions, and Tituba and Sarah Good were two of the first people who were accused. So they've been in jail this entire time. Okay? In the corridor outside, Tituba calls on, "Take me home, devil, take me home," and Hopkins' voice orders her to move on. Herrick returns and begins to push old rags and straw into a corner. Hearing footsteps, he turns and enter Danforth and Judge Hathorne. They are in greatcoats and wear hats against the bitter cold. They are followed in by Sheever, who carries a dispatch case and a flat wooden box containing his writing materials. So Herrick gets this jail cell cleaned out of Sarah Good and Tituba, and then at that moment, in walk the two judges. Okay?
Good morning, Excellency.
Where's Mr. Paris?
I'll fetch him.
He starts for the door.
Marshal,
You're gonna have a part. Herrick stops.
when did Reverend Hale arrive?
We're towards midnight, I think.
Danforth suspiciously.
What is he about you?
He goes among them that will hang, sir, and he prays with them. He sits with Goody Nurse now, and Mr. Parrish with him.
Okay, remember, where had Hale gone?
He decided that he didn't want to be.
He left because after John Proctor was arrested, he said,
Forget you guys.
I'm out.
"I quit the court, I don't believe what's happening," and he left. But now, a couple months later, he has returned. And he's sitting in the jail, doing what?
Praying.
Praying with the people
For
who are accused. Danforth? Oh, and who's sitting with him?
Parrish.
Which is crazy,
Because he doesn't like it.
because in the last scene when we saw the two of them together, they were on opposite sides. Okay, Danforth.
Indeed. That man has no authority to enter here, Marshal. Why have you let him in?
Why Mr. Parrish commanded me, sir. I cannot deny him.
Are you drunk, Marshal?
And is he?
No.
Yes.
He's
No.
hammered.
Yes.
Eric says,
No, sir. It is a bitter night, and I have no fire here.
Danforth is ticked.
Fetch Mr. Paris.
Hey, sir.
There is a
Prodigious.
prodigious stench in this place.
Does he mean it literally smells?
Well,
No, it's
I
like,
have heard
I mean, it
it.
probably does not smell good, but he's talking about a metaphorical stench. Eric?
I have only now cleared the people out for you.
Beware of hard drink, Marshal.
Aye, sir.
He waits an instant for further orders, but Danforth, in dissatisfaction, turns his back on him, and Herrick goes out. There is a pause as Danforth stands in thought.
Let you question Hale, Excellency. I should not be surprised. He have been preaching in Andover lately.
We'll come to that. Speak nothing of Andover. Paris prays with him. That's strange.
He blows on his hands, moves towards the window, and looks out.
Excellency, I wonder if it be wise to let Mr. Paris so continuously with the prisoners.
Danforth turns to him, interested.
I think sometimes a man has a mad look these days.
Mad?
I met him yesterday coming out of his house, and I bid him good morning, and he wept and went his way. I think it is not well the village sees him so unsteady.
Perhaps he have some sorrow.
Cheever stamps his feet against the cold.
I think it be the cows, sir.
Cows?
There be so many cows wandering in the high roads now. Their masters are in the jail, and much disagreeable who they will belong to now. I know Mr. Paris be arguing with farmers all yesterday. There's a great contentious, sir, about the cows. Contentious make him weep, sir. It were always a man that wept for contentious.
He turns, as do Hathorne and Danforth, hearing someone coming down the corridor. Danforth raises his head as Paris enters. He is gaunt, frightened, and sweating in his greatcoat, and says instantly to Danforth,
Oh, good morning, sir. Thank you for coming. I beg your pardon, waking you so early. Good morning, Judge Hathorne.
Reverend Hale has no right to enter this.
Excellency, a moment.
He hurries back and shuts the door.
Do you leave him alone with the prisoners?
What's his business here?
Prayerfully holding up his hands, begging.
Excellency, hear me. It is a providence Reverend Hale has returned to bring Rebecca Nurse to God.
Surprised.
He bids her confess.
Paris sits.
Hear me, Rebecca have not given me a word this 3 months since she came. Now she sits with him and her sister and Martha Corey and 2 or 3 others, and he pleads with them, confess their crimes and save their lives.
So what will save them from hanging?
Pretty much lying.
Confessing, which would be a lie, and so far, for the last 3 months, they have
Not said anything.
refused to do that. They have refused to lie. Even though it would save them. Okay, Danforth?
Why, this is indeed a providence. And they
Soften.
soften?
Not yet, but I thought to summon you, sir, that we might think on whether it be not wise to.
He dares not say it out loud.
I had thought to put a question, sir, and I hope you will not.
Mr. Paris, be plain. What troubles you?
There is news, sir, that the court must reckon with. My niece, sir, my niece, I believe she has vanished.
Vanished?
I had thought to advise you of it earlier in the week, but
Why? How long has she been gone?
this be the 3rd night. You see, sir, she told me she would stay a night with Marcy Lewis, and next day, when she does not return, I send to Mr. Lewis to inquire. Mercy told him she would sleep in my house for a night.
They are both gone?
He's scared to say it.
They are, sir.
Danforth is alarmed. Now, they pulled the old classic, I'm staying at my friend's house.
She's staying at my house.
And they
Ditch.
ditched.
Well, I will send a party for them. Where may they be?
Excellency, I think they be aboard a ship.
Danforth stands with his mouth open, shocked.
My daughter tells me how she heard them speaking of ships last week, and tonight I discover my strong box is broke into.
What's a strong box?
Money.
Safe.
Safe. He presses his fingers against his eyes to keep back tears.
She have robbed you?
31 pound is gone. I am penniless.
He covers his face and sobs.
Mr. Paris, you are a brainless man.
He walks in thought, deeply troubled. Why is this a bad sign that Abigail ran off?
Because she
She
was
knows
definitely
She's a
lying.
witch.
Obviously,
She's been lying.
she's been lying, and Danforth is probably
Master protect.
panicked about what this means. Okay, Paris?
Excellency, it profit nothing you, but you should blame me. I cannot think they would run off except they fear to keep in Salem anymore.
He is begging.
Mark it, sir. Abigail had close knowledge of the town, and since the news of Andover has broken here.
Andover is redeemed.
Remedy.
The court returns there on Friday and will resume examinations.
I am sure of it, sir, but the rumor here speaks rebellion in Andover, and it.
There is no rebellion in Andover.
I tell you what is said here, sir. Andover have thrown out the court, they say, and will have no part of witchcraft. There be a faction here feeding on that news, and I tell you true, sir, I fear there will be a riot here.
Riot, why even every execution I have seen naught but high satisfaction in the town.
Judge Hathorne, it were another sword that hanged till now. Rebecca Nurse is not Bridget that lived 3 years with Bishop before she married him. John Proctor is not Isaac Ward that drank his family to ruin. I would to God it were not so, Excellency, but these people have great weight yet in the town. Let Rebecca stand upon the gibbet and send up some righteous prayer, and I fear she'll wake a vengeance on you.
Okay, so what is Paris worried about?
That the people who they're about to hang it's going to cause a riot.
Okay, so in the neighboring towns of Salem, there have been similar
Mad riots, dog.
things going on with accusations of witchcraft. But in a town very close by, the people actually overthrew the court, sent them away. There was uproar. And Paris is now worried that that will happen here. So when you add together the fact that Abigail has disappeared, plus the fact that who's supposed to be hanging today?
Rebecca Nurse.
And John Proctor. And those people are still
Not.
Waiting people, they're really important to the town.
yeah, the people of Salem still respect them. And if Rebecca Nurse goes up on the gibbet, which is the little stage thing where you stand on a stool with the nooses, and starts praying, the people in the town are not going to believe that she's actually a witch.
So they're not going to let them hang her.
Right.
No, they're gonna let her hang.
So that's what Paris is worried about. Okay, Hathorne?
Excellency, she is condemned a witch. The court have
Deep in concern, Danforth raises a hand to stop him.
Pray you.
To Paris.
How do you propose then?
Excellency, I would postpone these hangings for a time.
There will be no postponement.
Now, Mr. Hale's return, there is hope, I think, for if he bring even one of these to God, that confession surely damns the others in the public eye, and none may doubt more that they are all linked to hell. This way, unconfessed and claiming innocence, doubts are multiplied. Many honest people will weep for them, and our good purpose is lost in their tears.
Okay, so the problem is these people continue to say they're innocent, and people in town are starting to believe them.
Okay, since even though if they're witch, they can't say the 10 Commandments. Why don't they have them do that?
Great question.
Huh?
So the
Yeah, I
10
thought Rebecca Nurse could say her
so
10 commandments.
stating the 10 Commandments, being able to do that is just one sign. Remember, what was Rebecca Nurse accused of?
Killing the murder.
Killing the Putnam babies. So her was a little different than the other people. Okay, Danforth thinks for a moment and says to Sheever.
Give me the list.
He opens the case, searching for the paper. Paris?
It cannot be forgotten, sir, that when I summoned the congregation for John Proctor's excommunication, there were hardly 30 people come to hear it that speak a discontent, I think, and
So every time a person is surely condemned of being a witch, the church has to hold a meeting to kick them out of the church.
Wait,
Okay?
so how's John Popper a witch?
And because remember he said,
God can't be
I
witches.
hate God,
Yeah, name one guy that's a witch.
wizard, okay?
Yeah.
Or
This is the
warlock.
Salem witch
You're a
trial,
wizard.
not the Salem wizard.
Whoa,
Um,
they're actually all the witches in the world.
So, when John Proctor's excommunication came around, there were only 30 people who were willing to come in support of it, which shows that people are beginning to question the authenticity of the witch trials. All right, Danforth stares at the list.
There'll be no postponement.
Top of 130.
Excellency.
Now, sir, which of these, in your opinion, may be brought to God? I will myself strive with him till dawn.
He hands the list to Paris, who merely glances at it.
There is not sufficient time till dawn.
I shall do my utmost. Which of them do you think have hope for?
Not even glancing at the list now, and in a quivering voice, very quietly, he says,
Excellency. A dagger.
he chokes up.
What do you say?
Tonight, when I opened my door to leave my house, a dagger clattered to the ground.
Silence as Danforth absorbs this, and Paris cries out.
You cannot hang this sword. There is danger for me. I dare not step outside at night.
Reverend Hale enters. Let's see. Demi, why don't you read his part? They look at him for an instant in silence. He is steeped in sorrow, exhausted, and more direct than he ever was.
Accept my congratulations, Reverend Hale. We have gladdened to see you return to your good work.
Hale comes straight to Danforth and says,
You must pardon them, they will not budge.
Herrick enters and waits by the door. Danforth says, conciliatory.
You misunderstand. Sir, I cannot pardon these when 12 are already hanged for the same crime. It is not just.
Paris with a failing heart.
Rebecca will not confess?
The sun will rise in a few minutes. Excellency, I must have more time.
So both of these guys, they're not asking that these people not be hung. They just don't want it to be now. Okay? Danforth says with force,
Now hear me and
beguile.
yourselves. No more. I will not receive a single plea for pardon or postponement. Them that will not confess will hang. 12 have already executed. The names of the 7 are given out, and the village expects to see them die this morning. Postponement now speaks of floundering on my part. Reprieve or pardon must cast doubt upon the guilt of them that died till now. While I speak God's law, I will not crack its voice with whimpering. If retaliation is your fear, know this. I should hang 10,000 that dare to rise against the law. And an ocean of salt, tears, draw your
Could not.
Hmm?
Could not melt the resolution.
Could not
of
melt
these
the resolution of the statues. Now draw yourselves up like men and help me as you are bound by heaven to do. Have you spoken with them all, Mr. Hale?
Okay, Danforth gives basically 2 reasons why he will not hear postponement. One of them is,
Because more people are executed for the same crime.
okay, 12 other people have already
And
died for the same crime. And if he postpones these,
Then it looks bad.
he looks bad.
that logo.
Not no concern for the 7 people whose lives are going to be taken today. Only fear for his own reputation.
What a weird.
The second reason he says is that he still believes he is doing
God's
God's work. And if God's work requires him to rain down a storm of salt tears on the world, he will do it. Okay? Alright, so Danforth says, have you spoken with them all, Mr. Hale?
All but Proctor, he is in the dungeon.
To Herrick.
What's Proctor's way now?
He sits like some giant bird. You'd not know he lived, except he will take food from time to time.
After thinking a moment,
His wife must be well on with child now.
She is, sir.
What think you, Mr. Paris, would have closer knowledge of this man? Might her presence soften him?
It is possible, sir. He have not laid eyes on her these 3 months. I should summon her.
to Herrick.
Is he yet
Adamant.
Has he struck at you again?
He cannot, sir. He is chained to the wall now.
Fetch Goody Proctor to me. Then let you bring him up.
Aye, sir.
Here it goes. There's silence. Okay, so for the past 3 months,
But I thought that she's had the baby.
Elizabeth has been in jail and she's starting to show signs of her pregnancy.
Wait, is she
And
actually pregnant?
John Proctor
actually showing now.
has spent much of this time in the
Slammer.
dungeon, and now he is even chained to the wall. So the strong, viral man he used to be has become this
Home, sleeping.
gaunt, weak man chained up to the wall. Shh, quiet.
Yay.
Okay, Hale.
That's me. Excellency, if you could postpone a week and publish to the town, then you are striving for their confessions that speak mercy on your part, not faltering.
Mr. Hale, has God not empowered me like Joshua to stop the sun from rising? So I cannot withhold from them the perfection of their punishment.
Hale says with more aggression.
If you think God wills you to raise rebellion, Mr. Danforth, you are mistaken.
He says instantly.
You have heard rebellion spoken in this town.
Excellency, there are orphans wandering from house to house, abandoned cattle bellow on the high roads, and the stink of rotting crops hangs everywhere, and no man knows where the harlot's cry will end his life. And you wonder yet if rebellion spoke. Better you should marvel how they do not burn your property.
So things in this town are not good. There are cattle and orphans wandering the street because their parents are, or
In jail.
caretakers are dead or in jail. There are stinking
His house.
crops rotting in the fields because their caretakers are dead or in jail. And people are miserable.
It's
Okay,
like
Danforth, what?
nobody's like nobody does anything. They just kind of sit there.
hmm
It's not your stuff.
It's like everyone's afraid to do anything because anything they do could be the thing
No
that
fun.
gets them accused. Okay, Danforth,
Mr. Hale, have you preached in Andover this month?
Thank God they have no need of me in Andover.
You baffle me, sir. Why have you returned here?
Why, it is all simple. I come to do the devil's work. I come to counsel Christians they should belie themselves.
his sarcasm collapses.
There is blood on my head. Can you not see the blood on my head?
Hush.
Where he has heard footsteps, they all face the door. Herrick enters with Elizabeth. Her wrists are linked by a heavy chain, which Herrick now removes. Her clothes are dirty. Her face is pale and gaunt. Herrick goes out.
What's gone?
It means very thin, like looking starved.
Goody Proctor,
She is silent.
I hope you are hearty.
And as a warning reminder, she thinks he's about to say, "Oh, you're going to hang today too." So she says,
I am yet 6 months before my time.
Pray, be your ease. We come not for your life. We
Uncertain how to plead when he is not accustomed to it.
Hail will speak with the woman. Will you speak with the woman, Bill?
Biddy Proctor, your husband is marked to hang this morning.
There's a pause, and she says quietly,
I have heard it.
Do you not, that I have no connection with the court?
she doesn't believe him.
I come on my own, Biddy Proctor. I would save your husband's life, for he is taken. I count myself as murderer. Do you understand me?
What do you want with me?
Biddy Proctor, I have gone this 3 months like our Lord into the wilderness. I have sought a Christian faith, for damnation is doubled on a minister who counsels men to lie.
It is no lie. You cannot speak of lies.
It is a lie. They are innocent.
I'll hear no more of that.
And Hale continues over the top of Danforth.
Let you not mistake your duty as I mistook my own. I came into the village like a bridegroom to his beloved, bearing gifts of high religion, the very crowns of holy law I brought, and what I touched with my bright confidence, it died. And when I turned the eye of my great faith, blood flowed up. Beware, Biddy Proctor. Cleave to no faith, faith brings blood. It is mistaken law that leads you to the sacrifice. Life, woman, life is God's most precious gift. No principle, however glorious, may justify that taking of it. I beg you, woman, prevail upon your husband to confess. Let him give his life. Wail not before God's judgment in this, for it may well be God damns a liar less than he that throws his life away for pride. Will you plead with him? I cannot think he will listen to another.
Okay, so Hale has done a complete flip. When he came, he believed it was his mission to free the world of witches, doing God's work. Now he's purposely going against God's word, trying to get these people to save themselves by, which is lying. Okay? Elizabeth says quietly,
I think that be the devil's argument.
with a climactic desperation,
Women before the laws of God, we are as swine. We cannot read his will.
I cannot dispute with you, sir. I lack learning for it.
Danforth walks over to her.
Biddy Proctor, you are not summoned here for disputation. Be there no wifely tenderness within you. He will die with the sunrise. Your husband, do you understand it?
She only looks at him.
What say you? Will you contend with him?
She is silent.
Are you stone? I tell you true, woman. Had I no other proof of your unnatural life, your dry eyes now would be sufficient evidence that you deliver up your soul to hell. A very ape would weep as such calamity. Have the devil dried up any tear of pity in you?
She is silent.
Take her out. I profit nothing nothing she should speak to him.
She says quietly now.
Let me speak with him, Excellency.
Prepares with hope.
She'll strive with him.
She hesitates.
Will you plead for his confession, or will you not?
I promise nothing. Let me speak with him.
A sound. The sibilance of dragging feet on stone. They turn. A pause. Herrick enters with John Proctor. His wrists are chained. He is another man. Bearded, filthy, his eyes misty as though webs had overgrown them. He halts inside the doorway, his eye caught by the sight of Elizabeth. The emotion flowing between them prevents anyone from speaking for an instant. Now Hale, visibly affected, goes to Danforth and speaks quietly.
Pray, please, Excellency.
Danforth presses Hale aside and says,
Mr. Proctor, you have been notified, have you not?
Proctor is silent, staring at his wife.
I see light in the sky, mister. Let you conceal with your wife, and may God help you turn your back on him.
Proctor is still silent, staring at Elizabeth.
Excellency.
Danforth brushes past Hale and walks out. Hale follows. Cheever stands and follows. Hathorn behind. Parrot goes. Paris walks away and says before he leaves,
If you desire a cup of cider, Mr. Proctor, I am sure I.
and Proctor turns an icy stare on him, so he stops talking, turns his point toward Proctor and says,
God leads you now.
he leaves. Alone, Proctor walks to her, halts, and we will read their interaction tomorrow.
Yay.
Oh dear, Roxanne.
I